What?
Timmy,
I don't
you got
get
any parting
That
words?
was a Overmars remark. Oh, parting remarks.
No. Nah.
And
Take a bow.
Here
scene.
it
There
comes.
you go. Ready? Scene. Done.
That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
You see the newest guy we tried to bring in. He's like, I'm out.
No. No.
He's like, this is not what they told me we were doing.
And now, introducing, for your pleasure, Johnny Alford. Tim Fleming. Wayne McConaughey. Wayne Green. Solomon Kittan. And last but not least, Frank Herman. Alrighty, these are your participants for today's discussion. Oh boy.
Here we are for the love of the game, episode number 5. Number 5.
Yeah.
And I looked this morning, we have 35 subscribers. So after this one today, we should be well on our way to like 25 subscribers.
Or at least 37.
So can you get a half? 36 and a half? Maybe it'd be interesting to see somebody do the half subscription.
We can go either way. We can have people remove themselves. I'm out. I am out.
So today's topic is the best team ever. Once again, no prior discussions, no groundwork, no rules, no anything like that. I was thinking,
No
I was
intelligence.
thinking this morning, the
No.
one rule I've got to throw out is
Uh-oh.
to Frankie. Frankie,
Dwayne's still there.
you cannot
It's just
pick.
his
No,
videos.
Dwayne was just like being.
I picked
Dwayne's
Italy.
paying attention to me like he's supposed to, not like you do, Frank. Dwayne's
Yeah,
listening
shut up,
intently.
Frankie.
So the one
Wait,
rule
what?
is, Frankie, you cannot pick Mark Overmars for the best team ever today. No Overmars talk today, okay?
Well, I have a backup. Burkamp. Dennis Burkamp is my backup.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Burkamp and Overmars did play together for
So-
one season.
We've got Dwayne Green in Georgia, Dwayne McConney in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Tim Fleming in Washington State,
No.
Solomon Kidane in Sweden, Frank Herman in Mississippi, and I'm in Washington State.
Brookhaven. Dun, dun,
So-
dun.
Dwayne in the Liverpool jersey. It's his first time on here. I think we throw it to him.
Okay, it's pretty easy for me. All right.
Okay.
Well, outside of the 1985 Hines Community College team, which myself and Frank
Okay.
played on,
Oh,
we will.
I had forgotten about
Yeah, that one's pretty
Yes.
great, Frankie.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to go with the 19.
Well, that's my
Shut up, Frankie.
automatic.
Shut up. Just shut up. I'm gonna
What?
go
What?
with the 1974 Dutch team. Total football. And
The Deutsch.
well, you got to think about who they were
What
coached
year
by.
did you say?
1974.
74.
Okay.
That's
Correct.
Because my ears heard 1934. I'm like, what?
No, 74. And
Johnny's
Well-
at that age.
Renus Mikkels coached that team, and he also coached the 88 team when they won the European Championships, even though they did not win the World Cup in 74. It wasn't because
Should've.
Germany was a better team and beat them. they basically beat themselves because they decided when they got into the finals that half of the team was going to play total football, and the other half of the team wanted to try to play to keep from losing, and it backfired on them. And that was the only time during the whole World Cup that they actually did not play. But you got to think about what that team did. They changed the whole style of football. It went from where you could have teams that sat back and waited for teams to play and then counterattack to a team that basically had everybody on the team that would attack. Because you look up, and at certain points, the only person that would be on the defensive half of the team was their keeper. And I don't see how even though that team didn't win the World Cup, that doesn't make them any less of a team than any of the Brazilian teams. They dismantled Brazil that year too, which was the defending World Cup champions, and that's
okay. So there you mentioned that they have never won a World Cup, and they're your best team ever. So I was going to have a vote right now whether we let you stay on after picking your team that never won the World Cup, or how many other people are going to pick a team like that. So the 74 Dutch.
He stays.
Do you have a 1B, or you're steadfast in your 74 Dutch?
Well, after that, it's easy to jump on the
Heinz.
Brazilian bandwagon, but I'm not going to do it because Brazil had a lot of great individual players and they had teams that were good, but I don't think they actually had the benefit of assembling a team like that. Brazil benefited from the 74 stuff because if you think about it, after that, how did Brazil play? Everybody attacking. They play like that now. They play just like the Dutch.
Is there a Brazilian style or a Dutch style?
Don't
go to Franco. Who's jumping in next?
Solly.
I have two teams, two Brazilian teams, like Dwayne said. I think that the Dutch was a part of the 74 team. I mean, you got to give them credit. They changed the outcome of the game totally, which is a great thing. But I have two Brazilian teams. I have to choose one of them later. But it's the 1982 team with Socrates, Zico, and Leonardo. That was really a very, very, very good team. But I have another Brazilian team. I think it was in 56 or 57. I really don't know. The team that had players that didn't get any accolade, like Pelé was playing with. I mean, you had Didi, Vava, Garrincha. These players are legends in its own. You can disagree with me a little bit that the game was different in 56, 57, but these players out of nowhere, I think they were absolutely magnificent. So it's one of those teams. I believe that the 82 team with Socrates, Zico, and all these players was an amazing team. I think it was the best team that did not win because Italy with Rossi came in and took the World Cup then.
Okay. Solly, who's jumping next? Don't all jump at the same time.
You know what? I'm going to go, and I'm probably going to say I've got two teams. Again, like everybody else, I guess. I'm going on a little bit of a different spin here. So I know you guys have focused on sort of like national teams. I'm a homer. I'm going to go for this one. So my first one's going to be the 2004 Arsenal team. That team that basically, the Invincibles season as well too. You've got Bergkamp. Yep. You've got, Henry, Vieira, Perez. And it's, and I understand that, yes, it's only within the Premier League. It's not sort of like on an international stage. But I just think what that team did in the Premier League, and it was the culmination of all the new tactics, techniques, and approaches that Wenger brought in when he came into the Premier League. that drove them, to have that unbeatable season. Now, recent Premier League, a lot of teams have caught up, which is great. But I think just the defining method of what that team did and the fact that, nobody had done that before. And that, up to today, we still talk about the Invincibles and what they've done to go through an unbeaten season. I think that's one team I just have to kind of talk about as well. And then my next will probably be, I wouldn't say exactly 1 year, but the Spain team that won sort of back-to-back Euro championships, and then they won the 2010 World Cup. I mean, when you think of that Spanish team and who was on that team, it was fantastic. I mean, you had, Carlos Puyol. You had I think, I'm trying to think who else was on that team as well. I'm forgetting his name. David Villa as well, too. I mean, that Spain team, and traditionally before then, Spain had, I would say flattered to deceive. They really hadn't kicked it up a notch, but they kind of came into their own at that point in time, and they had this real vein of strength that they were showing sort of on the international and the World Cup stage. So that's why I would kind of pick them, because it was great football to watch, right? And it was good to see Spain finally kind of come back as well, too, after, years of France doing well on other teams as well. So those are the ones I would go for.
Okay. Do we need to have a vote on this, Dwayne, now? Because he's coming and picking an Arsenal team here. Or are we voting, or are we letting him stay?
I voted stay.
Okay.
As much as I hate that Arsenal team that year, because I am a Man U guy, but you got to give.
You're wearing Liverpool.
He's got his Liverpool.
No, but you got to give it.
Wait.
To him.
All right, we're voting back on both Dwaynes now.
Wait. Let Dwayne finish. He started on something.
Sorry,
as much as I hated that team that year, you got to give him the respect, because I think we talked about that beforehand. When you got Bergkamp feeding people like Henry from the midfield, and then you got a defender like Vieira, and that team was basically unbeatable. And if they had played on a world stage together, I don't think anybody would have been able to handle them. Because Thierry Henry for those couple of seasons was just racing.
They would have to have five. Yeah, 5 people would have to mark Bergkamp.
Or just one Mark Overmars.
Distribution. Now, Mark Overmars was on that team, but a different year.
All right.
Oh, Jesus.
Go ahead, Timmy.
Well, I'm all sorts of confused. Are we talking national team or just any team in general?
Well,
we've morphed into any team in general.
Again, we had no rules other than no Mark Overmars.
There were no rules, and we're making it up as we go. So now it's anything goes.
Well, since I was watching replays of the Napoli game this morning, and they had a PK that should have been no call, so I had to wear this shirt. Just no diving.
Divers are wankers.
Love that shirt. Love it.
Then I also had to bring out the jersey.
Oh,
Thank you.
Nice.
And if I still had my Keegan Gold boots, I'd wear them right now on the floor.
wow.
You tie them around your neck.
So, I guess my question is, are we talking the most entertaining team nationally? Are we talking who has the best record? Are we talking records for the best
whoever
national
makes
team?
you feel good about yourself.
Yours
Timmy.
to
I mean,
it's yours to decide. You explain.
Well, in that
you
case,
defend it.
I ain't doing any of that. I'll just tell you what it's going to be. And that
Thank
is
you.
Brazil 1970s all the way.
I was waiting for that one.
I was waiting, yeah. And then also, if we had another participant in this panel, I'm going to go with Germany, West and East combined.
Yep.
They're not, typical German. They're not flashy, but they get the job done. Very fundamentally sound. Sometimes boring to watch, but the results keep showing up. So, and then of course we have the Italian squad, who is for me entertaining, technical, and then my outlier is actually the Spaniards, the last version, where everything was very tight, high lines, one touch, two touch, move it around. So, if you like the ticky tack stuff, which I tend to do, I like that. But I go back to Brazil. They've won everything. I think they are, if I'm not mistaken, they've been to every World Cup.
Yeah, and
They've won the most.
Even with Pelé injured, they still, without him, destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
So that tells you the depth of that squad.
Well, and I think also, just generally speaking, on the whole Brazilian concept is, the beautiful game. Where did that come from? It came from Brazil. Look, they are flashy. They are fun to watch. Sometimes in the latest few years, maybe not as flashy, but you still have Neymar out there, who likes to roll around.
I was going to say, I was waiting for the shirt. I was waiting for the shirt.
Yeah.
Well, that final, that was in Mexico when they played the Italians, and they just destroyed Italy. Italy tried to just play very defensive, very conservative, and the crowd was just going nuts because Brazil played with such flair, and everybody on the field was so impressive to watch.
Yeah.
It
When
so
was this in
entertaining.
Mexico?
It was
Oh, you're back to 1970. Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah.
It's back in, 70?
That was when that's when they really made attacking football shine. Yeah. And then the Dutch took it to
No, not really.
another level.
Not really.
Not in the way that you're talking about. The Brazilians have an individual flair. Everyone on the field is able to beat everyone else on the field. The Dutch just played in a style that threw everyone into attack, and it didn't matter what your position was. Everybody was attacking.
I think this is it.
Are you talking about the Ajax way?
I think this is we're getting the Marco
Solid.
Overmars. Marco Overmars,
Oh.
right? I'm waiting to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, he's,
I'm
he's-
waiting. I'm
you see
waiting
how
for
he's
Solly.
connected? He's
By himself is the
I
greatest
love how
team
Frank
ever.
just connected from like
Oh.
Brazil to the Dutch to Ajax to Marco Overmars. Like you guys, that was masterful. Frank, just.
That's all right.
Frank,
Solomon will now come in and disagree with everything Frankie says.
take a bow. Frank, please take a.
Cue the
But-
counterpoint.
but
Take a bow.
while Frankie's going to go through his list right now, we can all take off our headphones for a few minutes and take a break. So go ahead,
Whoa,
Frankie.
whoa. All right. Heinz, 1985 through 2020. Greatest sequential wins of all time. No. I agree with Tim. The 1970s Brazil, for me, was just the strongest individual. I mean, a team of outstanding flair and individual talent that at the same time played brilliantly together. I've seen a lot of teams that have outstanding talent. They just can't play together. The Dutch are a good example of several years. They've had amazing talent, but they couldn't play on the same field together. They're fighting in the locker room. There's a real skill of assembling talent and getting them to not only be individual talents, but a talented team. And for me, that 1970 Brazil team was that. And, that in my mind, that's what this topic is about. Even though I wish it was the Dutch.
So
Oh, Solly. Look at him. Solly fell asleep. Wake up, Solly. Wake up, Solly.
all right.
Wake
So World Cup winners, 12 from UEFA, 9 from CONMEBOL. And amazingly,
Oh, this is it.
no CONMEBOL teams have ever won the European Championship, and no UEFA teams have ever
Because
won
they're
the
not
South
in Europe.
American Championship.
Oh.
Think about that for a minute.
Oh. You mean when it's hosted in
I was
the
like,
Southern Hemisphere? Or
wait a second.
So
well, there's a reason. there's a reason they haven't won in Europe because they're
That's
not
what I was wondering. I'm
winning.
kind of like,
that was our Frank test right there. That was
so,
Hey, Genie.
Hey, Sully, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just
Wow.
listening
So-
to this.
you know,
let me
It
throw.
makes sense.
my prediction is I can see from Solomon's face like we're gonna have like a competing podcast start soon.
No,
It's
no,
gonna be
no,
called,
no.
you know,
I'm just
I'm not with
sitting
those
and-
morons.
and listening to this. Listen,
you know.
97. You have to know 90.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
1970s team was a very, very, very good team. I agree with that, and I think a lot of people can agree with us with regards to that. But if you think a little bit, and if you remember any games, I'm just pitching my side of the story.
That's what all
the
of these are.
1982 team who say that we played. They in 1970s they played with imagination or style or whatnot. But if you remember that game, especially the semifinal game against Italy, I mean, until this day I remember the game. I mean, every situation. So even though the 1970s team was a great team, we can all agree with that. But if you compare that team with the 82 team, I think by far the 82 team would win. I mean, they were tactically gifted. They were physically. They was. I mean, it was an amazing. If you think back and watch the game in your head or on the video. So that's just my pitch for the 82 and the 70 team.
So let me ask you guys this as Timmy shuffles papers around. We can hear there.
Timmy,
It's coffee. Jesus.
So
the shuffling coffee.
what do you
Oh,
what do
that was
you
loud.
what do you think the hardest region is to qualify for the World Cup? Is it Europe? Is it South America,
CONCACAF.
North America, Africa? What do you guys think? I'm just getting. What do you guys think for
It's UEFA. Well, actually, CONMEBOL.
Frankie? Give us one.
I
Yeah,
took
no.
both of them. Oh, Dwayne's coming back.
I still here?
Um,
Oh, he's back. Oh, the other Dwayne. Sorry, other Dwayne. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, sorry. I meant Red Dwayne, Liverpool Dwayne, and Arsenal Dwayne is hanging in there.
Okay. I
Well
think.
done. Liverpool
Man,
So
Dwayne.
Frankie-
easy. Take
having
it
trouble.
easy now.
Oh,
I think it is.
I've had two
Yeah.
coffees already.
Which region, Frankie? Do you think?
I'm going to say UEFA.
Lala.
I think it's the UEFA that's the toughest because South America, you have about 4-5 tough teams that they play against each other, and it depending on the year, each country have different strength. 1 year Colombia can be very, very good because of that generation. The next year they may be weaker. So it's always Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and sometimes one of like Colombia comes up. So
Timmy?
I would say Europe.
I agree. UEFA, from top to bottom, the quality of the teams they're tight. There's maybe a couple of outliers that are maybe on the bottom tier that may get smoked.
Liechtenstein.
But exactly. But for the most part, there's plenty of depth, and probably, and you may disagree, but some of those bottom UEFA teams could probably go in the other tournaments and probably beat everybody.
Absolutely.
So,
Austria for one.
so
They should be in every year. They're a really strong team, but they can't qualify for the World Cup because of who
They're a
playing
really
against.
strong team.
They are a strong team.
Dwayne in Canada.
so let me ask you.
I probably have to say UEFA as well too. I mean, like it's crazy to say UEFA and think that we've had World Cups where like and even Euros where like Italy and Netherlands and these places have not like, kind of come through because what things have happened with their teams. But, you bring up a very good point. Like, you take a look and you think of all the teams in UEFA and you start listing off all these regions and they're all powerhouses. Like they're all just, massive powerhouse teams. And you don't think about that. And even beside that, it's the legacy of some of these teams as well. Like these are teams that you're talking about over years and years and years, right? Like nobody even like for me, personal story, Peru. My wife's Peruvian, love Peru. Got married to my wife and I was like, why did I have to marry someone from the one country that hasn't been to the World Cup in how many years? But they finally got in there, as well. But I mean, like, as I keep saying, though, like it's just the UEFA teams. It's just insane off the charts as you take a look at it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I always say this. It's for me when we talk about these things on the podcast. I actually go back afterwards and take a look and do some research, and I kind of take a look back, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Like you sometimes need to see it in front of you to realize like the amount of strength and power and legacy that some of these teams have had. It's crazy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you guys ever done a comparison to like World Cup finals games and like European Championship finals games where, the European Championships it's just insane how strong everyone is in that group. And then
Well, you know what, Frank?
to have the representation that they have in FIFA.
Think of it this way, Frank. You bring up an interesting point because think of it this way. Everybody is tuned into watching the World Cup. Like the World Cup, if everybody want to watch, is like from a soccer perspective, is like the number one, competition they want to see. What's next? It's not CONMEBOL. It's not, Copa America. It's always UEFA. Think about it.
No.
And why is it UEFA?
Yeah.
Right? Because the competition is going to be that good. It's going to be that
Quality.
good. So that in
Yeah.
itself almost answers the question.
Yeah. Right.
So I have a question. So if you had a choice going to UEFA finals or World Cup, what tournament would you prefer to go watch from start to
UEFA.
finish?
For me,
World
World
Cup.
Cup final.
UEFA.
I would spot it. I guess it depends on. I'd say World Cup just because you have the world stage there, and you've got people from like other countries that you're seeing. So it's more of an event, and it's more of a an experience. But if you want to go for, from like a pure footballing perspective, then you might say UEFA.
I
He disagrees.
No, when the World Cup is going to expand next time in 2026 to like 48 teams, you're going to be seeing teams that have no business being in a World Cup there. They're going to get beat down in the group games and things like that. Back in '88 when the Dutch won Euros and there's only two groups of four, going to see any of those games at that Euro, that would have been amazing. I mean, so
Yep.
depending, I guess depending on what team you're following, if you're following Peru, you may not get to go to a World Cup, but
Well, and that's where I was kind of follow up. That was my follow up is also a lot of these tournaments are also based on population. I mean, look at, Europe, it's always on TV. Serie A is on TV. EPL is on TV. You start going, let's talk Peru. Let's talk, there's not a lot of these better teams that are getting a lot of the TV exposure. So, and then.
They're not the market.
No, they're not. So, as a fan, I'd love to see the UEFA because from top to bottom, the quality is closer and not as wide gapped, I guess. When I went to Europe and watched a bunch of matches, it was just beautiful. I come down here and watch some shoddy MLS. It's night and day, of course. But
Yeah.
just watching as a tactical, even the lower teams in Europe is just it's fun to watch.
Right. The worst thing is when you watch a Champions League match and then they follow it with an MLS game. And it's just like, can't.
Well, I mean, you can't.
It's so different.
Yeah, it's different, but you can't really. This is an up and coming team, an up and coming league. So you have to take it for what it is, even though it's the pace, the quality of the passes, the functional part of the game. But I think that it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. You can learn a lot from that.
Solomon has now moved from Sweden to Switzerland with his diplomatic immunity and his neutrality here. So,
I'm just telling you
the
the
Swiss
truth.
are pretty good too now.
I'm just telling you the truth.
No,
so here I'm gonna. So when I started looking at this, and I'm trying to think of which team, which like core has had a run. And of course, I start with the Italians first. I'm trying to look at the 82 Italians. What kind of run did they have? Because that team, in my heart, there's a special place for that 82 Italian team. And then I start trying to look at what kind of run. That 82 team did not have a good run up to the Cup or after. So, if I'm looking at one moment in time and in my heart, there's one story there. But, talking about Brazil 1970, from and that had Pelé, that had Rivellino, there were a core that stayed together in there from March 1970 to June 1973. They had a 28 game unbeaten streak, that team. So then I start going and looking at Netherlands 74, they were in the final. 78, they were in the final without Cruyff and some other players that refused to go to the World Cup in 78. Then you jump to 1988, the Euros, the Dutch win. 1990, there's a round of 16 in the Cup. 92, the semifinals in Euros. 94 in the quarterfinals. So nobody has the run there. I mean, they went to 2 World Cup finals in a row with the same style, but not the same players all the way around. And then, somebody mentioned Spain earlier. Well, Spain, Euro 2008 champions, World Cup 2010 champions.
08 to 12.
2012 Euro champions, and then 2014 they crashed. But
I mean, it's Spain.
But before that,
that Spain run you were talking about. Actually, I think I wrote it down here because I needed my information. So they went on a 35 game unbeaten run, right? And then they won all 10 of their 2010 World Cup qualification games. So that's a massive run, right? And it's almost the letdown. I think which shows the letdown after was very disappointing. But you have to realize there's always a life cycle in every team, right? So when the team's doing that well, you probably have players in there that you might have cycled out at some point in time because you're like, I'm still running really, really well. Let's keep pushing this off. So I think that letdown after was just a natural reboot. That's what I look at it as.
So now I dismiss that Spain team though because they dismantled the Italians 4-0 in one of the Euro finals. But so now I'm going to turn it where you guys would expect me to turn it.
That was one of my favorite games. Johnny just stopped. I was like, oh, that's it. Oh, wait a minute. I can't even tell what that is.
So I'm going to turn it where you guys expect it. You thought I would go 82 Italy? I'm going. You're watching right now what's going to be the best team ever. The Italians right now, that just had their 37 game unbeaten streak with Mancini at the helm. Watch this next World Cup and the style that they play, where I've had 2 people in here, Frankie and Solomon, tell me they play attractive soccer or football now because all these years of my life where I've watched the Italians and they're playing the Catenaccio steel chain defense and and all you guys hated me for loving the Italians, but I played in the back most all the time. So I think this Italian team right now is going to end up going on a run like Spain did back in 2008. But
well, that's why we called you Johnny Park the Bus Alford.
But I mean, talking unbeaten streaks. Italy 37 game unbeaten streak just got broken. Brazil 93 to 96,
right?
35 game unbeaten streak, and they were they won in 94. They beat Italy in the finals in the U.S. Spain 07 to 09, 35 games. Argentina 91 to 93, 31 games. Italy's on the list again from 1935 to 1939. 30 games.
Well, this year alone, Austria's won 2 games back to back.
I,
Wow.
I,
That's
somebody
winning
nobody
streak
has
there.
talked of, and in our podcast about best player ever, there were multiple people talking about Zidane. France from 94 to 96 had a 30-game unbeaten
Oh, yeah.
streak, but they've won 2 World Cups.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
I think if I'm picking one moment, it's the 82 Italians, even though the way they played and they didn't have a good run up 2-4, and they tied all their first round, their group matches, and then
They tied
all this
every
kind of stuff.
group
So
match.
it's since we have no rules today, I'm going. I think this generation of Italians right
But
now with Mancini is going to go down and go on a run like Spain did for 2 Euros and a World Cup and things like that.
But to defend your Italian team, yeah, they tied every group stage game. They did just enough to get into the finals, and in every game they did just enough to keep progressing, and they saved it all for the
82,
final. Which
you
is
play
actually
your group
pretty smart.
games, and then you go into another smaller group. And who was that smaller group? Italy, Argentina, Brazil. And they took care of Argentina and Brazil.
Yeah. I actually remember the games that they played and the tie that they played, and it was a lot of commotion with Rossi getting involved in different things.
Stay neutral, Solly. Stay neutral.
Yeah, I am. I am.
Don't bring up anything bad.
But no. But I remember that team actually with they had a phenomenal team. I mean, with Conti and Rossi.
Tardelli
I mean,
is a good
Tardelli.
midfielder nobody talks about ever. He was
Absolutely. So they had that tournament, and they timed it perfectly. They timed their form perfectly to the playoffs. So I agree with you. And with regards to the new Italy, the new time Italy, I think their team is young players. Most of them play in Italy, and I'm telling you, the way that they're playing right now is not like the Italian way of playing. I think that they have advanced in their way of playing. So you may be right with regards to that they're going to be successful in Qatar here, but you never know. You never know. I usually have
I think
a
Italy
saying,
turned everything around.
Johnny, one of those sayings now. The ball is round; it can bounce anywhere.
I was waiting for you to go that direction right there with the ball is round.
That's right. That's right.
So, and the team that at least I love to hate that somebody did mention earlier, but so Germany has won 4 World Cups and they've been runner-up 4 times. They've been runner-up more times than anyone has been runner-up, and
for consistency, they've been a rock forever. Just they have something that always gets them. They're just solid, and they always get there. And they're not always spectacular, but they're always a very hard team to break down. And
you know what?
Either by countering or just by
what's interesting to see. What's interesting to see, and you guys talked about, the Italy team now, the Spain team we talked about from 2007 and then 2010, 2012. You talked about Germany as well too. When I look at these teams, the one parallel I think, and I don't know if you can draw a conclusion on this thing, this is what makes them strong, is all these really good national teams, a lot of their players also play in their domestic league, right?
Right.
So when you think about that Spain team, right? A good half of that Spain team played together on Barcelona, right? So, or even this Italy team as well too. So it's almost like, they may not even be the same team, but they might be in the league where they see each other. So I look at Spain and say, you're on the same team. So it's you've got exactly how your players are going to move, how things are going through. It's an extension of what you're doing day to day with these guys you're talking about. The other ones are kind of well, hey,
Right.
I may not be on the same team as him, but I'm in the same league and I compete against him as well too. So I think that for me, that
Right.
counts for something, because when you're in there, and we also know, guys, you guys know enough about the game. Like, you mentioned it. It's not a matter of just putting the 11 best people on the field. It's the 11 people on the field that know how to play as a team and understand to say, hey, you know what? I need to take a step back because you need to fill this role. I need to take a step back and just basically make sure and lock down this individual. So I think it's just when you're in that, you play kind of in that sort of, that domestic league as well. I think there's just a greater understanding that translates into national teams.
Right. Yeah. Beckenbauer's Germany, when he was captaining the team, 6 of the players were from Bayern Munich. Of the starting national squad, with Beckenbauer, the captain of Bayern, and the captain of the national team. That the same thing that you're talking about, Dwayne. They already have this amazing chemistry at club level, and it just transfers directly into the national team.
Exactly. I think
They pull other players in from the same league, and it's just all complementary.
The modern day teams that are in the discussion, what happens if we throw them back into 1970? Do they get beat down by the way the game has changed and the way the game is played now and the physicality and things like that?
That's a very good question. Wow. And I don't think that the back in the days, the 70s, can hang with the modern day soccer for quite a few reasons. One of the reason is their training methods have changed. They are stronger, faster, and smarter in how the game is played. They find different solutions to the problems on the field. So
not smoking on the sidelines.
Not a smoking on the sideline, like
that's
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong.
I was gonna say that, Solomon.
It's a way of life.
That's quality.
I was gonna say that, Solomon. Like they're not smoking in the room afterwards. They're not going and having a big they're not going and having a big greasy meal.
No.
I'm going to throw this out before, they're not having, with some teams, they're not having sex the night before the game because it's going to basically have an effect on them as well, because some coaches have even banned that. But I think Solomon hit it on the head. The based alone on the improvements in training, technology, physicality, just how you can kind of tune the body optimally, right? That alone would make them win, which
Absolutely.
I'll throw this out now, is what I would love to see is, let's take Pele or even anybody like that. Could you imagine bringing him into modern day training and modern day technology as well? Now, how great would he have been? Not saying, okay, I apologize. Not saying how great would he have been. We know how great he was. How much greater would he have been? Think about that.
Yeah,
but you don't know that though.
Yeah,
it's a very different world. You don't know that. You don't know how.
Well, that's what he's saying.
You don't know how
cool would
you
it
don't
be
know how his development would have gone.
Yeah, that's true.
At that time, when he came up, it was not a lot. I mean, he may have gotten. He was talented, gifted. That he didn't. He had a lot of things for free. Mm-hmm. So if you put that in, if you come into this modern day, we really don't know how that would have come. I mean, maybe, or maybe not.
It would be interesting to.
Yeah, it's like, you know what?
I think it'd be.
Think of like track and field, right? Think about it.
Yes.
I know we're talking soccer. Think about track and field, like. The improvements, even in the spikes they're wearing and the clothing they're wearing, that's shaving it's shaving milliseconds off, but it's still making things faster, right? And what's going through,
right? Yeah, track is a good example because the athletes themselves are just getting faster and faster and faster. The technology hasn't improved that much, but the athlete themselves have improved over the last 100 years. And
technology hasn't changed that
comes
much
down
in
to
100 years.
That much? Are you kidding me?
I'm going to disagree.
In
I'm
running?
going to disagree
No,
for you
they
with you
haven't.
for Solomon.
Okay, so someone running barefooted 100 years ago against someone running
Or heavy
barefooted
leather
today.
shoes playing soccer.
Yeah,
years ago
that's
with
not what we're
wooden
saying.
cleats, wooden spikes
Yeah.
nailed in the
Yeah.
bottom.
Did I mention soccer? I was
Okay,
talking
so
track.
You would.
We
that
did
was-
we did segue to
Yeah,
track.
well, that's
and then
because the guy
you
that
pulled
picked
soccer
Arsenal
into track.
segued to track, and then you went to track. So,
I'm trying to draw parallels to explain. Excuse
Which
me, I'm
is the right
I'm a
thing
free
to do.
thinker.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm an
Yeah.
open-minded
we're-
person.
talking
Parallels.
with Dwayne is like
Yes.
trying to get water from a stone. I don't.
Or trying to get ketchup out of a bottle. If you cannot, how many times does it take to get the ketchup out?
Yeah, don't do that motion, Frankie. Timmy, go ahead.
No, I just think looking at equipment is one thing, but if you're looking at the strength and conditioning programs that are now modern, what we're seeing today versus the 70s, of course, I would be curious to see if the players back in the 70s, how well would they develop into today's world?
That's right.
And their scheme.
Yeah.
Just curious, would a Beckenbauer would he do well in today's game? I think that I'm interested in breaking down like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. What are those guys all about? I mean, you could sit here and talk about mid 80s, and you could talk about the high line, and who brought the high line offensive geniuses is AC Milan. So.
Yeah.
They're the ones who created
Marco Van Basten.
Yeah, they created a high line that we see today, and Pep is also doing it. And so I like seeing the transition from older philosophies into today's game. It's not too dramatic. Maybe the training techniques. Maybe I'll be curious to see what you guys think about the conditioning, no smoking, having the greasy bombs before you go out and play. The sex, no sex. It's just, I think maybe the next show we have is about strength and conditioning to the modern game. What's different?
Because some of those things you mentioned, some of our guys can't speak about.
That's a different podcast. There you go. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
So really, I think you all agree with me that picking one of the Italian teams was the best team ever. I think that's the consensus that we've come to in this. Is that right?
No.
No.
I mean, it's the Italy team that played this year did well, right? But remember, I mean, they started out really good in their first 3 games, and all the other games, 2 of them had to go to extra time. So
That's right.
I'm just saying.
yeah.
What's
Just
your point?
enough.
What's your point?
Enough.
I'm just saying.
They couldn't do it
I'm
in
just-
regular
I'm
season.
just-
That's what he's saying.
So I mean, really going into this with no rules and no whatever. I mean, seriously, we've gone through teams that made a run, teams that one moment in time, and the conclusion is, I think, like picking the best player ever. I don't know that we can sit here and say this is the best soccer team ever.
Well, yeah,
Well,
you can.
I mean, we can say that. Yeah.
You can sit here and base it
Subjective.
off of how many World Cups they've won. How's that? Go off a
I
record.
don't like to do that because Brazil has
I'm just saying, record is a
Brazil has
record.
5. And,
Brazil
and
has
runner-
won
and runner-up
5.
twice. So 7
Okay.
finals.
So keep going.
Germany,
Okay.
4 titles and 4 runner-ups, 8 finals. We can't. We cannot.
Italy.
We cannot pick. We cannot
Italy.
pick Germany because of people that we know outside the podcast. We'd never hear the end of it. So
Oh,
But- But based on the
Forget
record,
Germany.
they would
Germany
be second. So
is-
they're out.
the worst team ever. I forgot. Germany's horrible.
this is the guy that said Austria is a very strong team all the time.
Much better than Germany.
Ooh.
Italy,
better.
4 titles, 2 runner-up. Argentina, 2 titles, 3 runner-up. France, 2 titles, 1 runner-up. The Dutch run
Okay.
3 times. So
Wait a minute. The Dutch haven't won a World Cup?
no,
What? Mark
What?
Overmars
Oh, my-
doesn't have a World Cup.
What?
Are you sure? Wait a minute. Mark Overmars personally told me he won 5 World Cup titles.
No, after he
So where
handed
are
you
you
the
getting-
restraining order, he said, "Don't call him again."
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
So there you go, Johnny. Your answer is
Yeah.
To be-
Brazil is the number one national team
The number
ever,
one
based on
national
record.
team program, but
Iceland.
not team, right?
Oh,
But we didn't set any parameters for how we're
it's
picking.
still changing.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
So
I think the fact.
Well, I go off of record.
Yeah. Brazil is.
but see, going
best.
with
This is fun.
so Timmy mentioned Brazil, 1970, and you mentioned Italy and Spain.
So I said in order: Brazil, Germany,
I
Italy,
didn't write down Germany. I just came
and Spain.
Yeah.
Those are, and that's just because of Spain in the last, 08 or 012,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think.
Now we could always talk about style too.
Yeah.
What style's the best?
Oh, wait a minute. Style.
Because the Ajax
Solomon, you're going to get
way.
Solomon mad.
Ajax style.
Solomon's going to start cussing. We're
Don't-
saying
Don't forget
there's a Brazilian style
triangle.
and
The triangles can't work in the Dutch style.
go ahead,
That's
Solly.
too
Give us your
stylized.
wisdom here.
No, I think Tim was on the right track. If you only go on the facts, Brazil is the best program. But if we go from team to team, I mean, I still chose Brazil, the '82 team. So I think in the end of the day, Brazil is the best program, and so far. I'm not saying that it can be the team that they have now, it's a different generation. So I can't really say anything about that. But
Is Neymar a guy that leads them to a World Cup championship?
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
You mean this? Neymar?
Absolutely not. So,
He won the 10-meter gold medal.
but
In a roll.
But there may come somebody that one of these days that will do that. So, but again, the other countries are inching closer. Now we don't know. This is a subject that I've had with many. The teams in Africa, we don't know how they get there, like a wild card. The problem that they have when they get to the World Cup is their discipline. I mean, they are so freaking undisciplined. So with that change, I don't know. So because they're great athletes, and I hope one of these days.
Let me ask you this question, Solomon, on that one. Because, Africa, I
Yes.
think, you've still got the whole African Cup of Nations, which is actually an interesting competition
Yes.
to watch if you can find it on TV. Do you
Yes,
see, or
I watched that.
do you foresee
Yeah.
any time Africa winning the World Cup?
This is a problem, and I've
Africa
actually
or the
thought-
U.S. first? Which one?
No, U.S. going to be the first one, but I think they have such great players. The problem is we don't play soccer without the brain. That we have to have the brain. We have to have the mentality. We have to have the smartness. We have to have the tactical and something to keep it together. The problem with these players is that they have God-given talent, but I think they're putting the wagon before the horse, so to speak. They think they're better than what they are, and they lose it. They're very undisciplined. Very undisciplined.
It's funny you
So-
mention that, because I hear what you're saying there. I would almost argue, looking at like previous Copa Americas, that some South American teams have the exact same problem.
I
Like,
agree with you.
I remember
definitely.
I remember watching a Copa America team with my sons, and my daughter, and
Yes.
after the game, I told them, I say, never play like that. Like the amount of arguing with the ref, hitting the ground, fights, like the discipline portion that you said there, which
Yeah.
is which
Yeah.
and for me it's a shame to see, because like you say,
Yeah.
there's the talent there, but unless you
Yes.
put the two of them together, like you would never see that happening with a Germany team. I mean, I don't want to say France, but I mean France will just fight within themselves. But
Yeah, never.
The Dutch.
they'll fight
saw-
internally. They'll fight internally.
Well, if somebody's sleeping with Platini's wife or whatever, or
Yes.
something like that, during
Yeah.
They'll just tape it in.
But
black,
or maybe a headbutt.
Yeah, go back to your question, Dwayne. I saw under 21. I think it was like Ghana versus Senegal or something like that the other day. I mean, these players are unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I think it was like the 17th or 18th minute. You know, they started to showboating. They started to play too difficult. They started to flick balls. I mean, it's ridiculous. Instead of somebody telling them, play simple. You are a better player by playing simple. But they don't understand that. In their mind is that that's why I say that they're undisciplined in many ways. But if they can get that together,
Salah.
if they can get that together, I think there will be a huge progress for the nation.
That'll be good to see.
Yeah, Ghana's always had a very strong youth program. You always see them playing well, U18s, U19s.
So let me get this in for our two people that would still be listening at this point in this podcast.
Well,
please
my mom's
like,
still on. My mom will
subscribe,
be there.
share the video, dislike, make a comment. One thing that I have to say about the topic that's in the title of our video, don't expect us to stay on topic. One, don't expect to get a consensus answer out of any of us. Number two, and number three, who knows where it could go every time.
Or Germany 30 years ago.
What?
Timmy,
I don't
you got
get
any parting
That
words?
was a overmars remark. Oh, parting remarks.
No. Nah.
And
Take a bow.
Here
scene.
it
There
goes.
you go. Ready? Scene. Done.
That's it.
Yeah.
Done.
You see the newest guy we tried to bring in. He's like, I'm out.
Nope. Mm-mm.
This is quality.
No.
Pure quality.
No.
This is not what they told me we were doing.
I had notes.
Frank,
If you,
do you
if you- yeah.
go away?
I was saying, if you fast forward in the podcast, that was probably the best part of it right there. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be the lead-in
Exactly.
right there. I've already made a note of the time code.
Solomon, would you like to finish off before Frankie, or Frankie finish off first so you guys can disagree with each other?
No. He can
Don't use finish off.
he can finish it off. I'm all right.
Oh, because I'm going to bring the bear up.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you
No, I
go
don't.
ahead.
I think it
answer.
was a great discussion, and we can't really agree, but on the facts, Tim is right. Brazil is the best team. So
and my homerness for the Italians, I did give a good nod to that 1970 Brazil team that had that run in there, and plus that included the best player ever, Pelé. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's arguments for a number of different kinds of teams, club team, but we probably should have segmented it out into best club team, best national team.
I'm ready for
best
that
World Cup
discussion.
team, and stayed on topic.
Well,
I mean, we can
No,
come
yeah, we
back
can-
and do that and
there
narrow
we
the
can
window.
do that, but there were no rules,
discussion.
so Dwayne was not
No.
outcast for that. So
No, I like the track references.
Yep, there's no rules. There's no rules.
No rules. There's no rules, baby.
All right.
Oh wait, I think Dwayne's.
No, I'm still here.
On
Or the other Dwayne?
No,
Oh, Liverpool Dwayne. Sorry, I apologize.
Liverpool wearing jersey Dwayne. That's
look,
a Man United fan.
So let's put it this way to close it off. He's wearing a Liverpool jersey. He's a Man United fan. His internet died. I think I don't have much to say. There you go. There you go. I rest my
That was
case.
the. I like
At the
it.
end, only one
like
Dwayne
it.
stands tall.
Go Gunners! Let's go Gunners! Come on.
Oh,